Let's have a conversation about Navy Fed credit card instant approval. I want to share with you the top 5 hacks that will get you a large limit no matter what. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome City Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. If you had to ask me, if you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to talk to you about Navy Fed credit card instant approval. There are actually 5 hacks that will get you a large limit no matter what. The first thing you need to understand is the timing. It's very important. So timing plays a quintessential role when we talk about getting approved for your next NFCU credit card, okay? So when was the last time you get approved for an increase? Was it 3 months, 6 months? And what were your finances back then? You have to understand, Navy Fed will want to pay attention to your financial situation. The last time you got an increase, and your current financial situation. Has there been an improvement? Has there been a growth or a decline in your financial performance? It's really important. What is this? What is your balance sheet right now? Is it lethargic or vibrant? Pay attention to that, because the thing is that Navy Fed wants you to wait at least 6 months. You need to wait at least 6 months from your last request before requesting another increase. So this is important. When we talk about Navy Fed credit card instant approval, you have to understand that there are automatic increases. So if you use your card responsibly, they will bump you up automatically every 6 months, or you can also request an increase. Now, when you're requesting an increase, please do so at the branch or over the phone, because if you do it online, you might have a hard pull, and we don't want to have a hard pull. The whole thing is to have a soft pull or no pull at all, okay? But be approved for a credit card limit increase. So big decision time. Talk to me about why you need a credit card increase, a limit increase right now from Navy Fed. Is it because in other words, what justifies the request? Because Navy Fed is going to ask you, they are going to ask you, why do you need a limit increase? Are you trying to purchase? Do you have a large expense? Do you have a vacation coming up? Do you have a wedding and you want to charge the expenses on the card? So you need to have an estimated spending pattern, an estimated spending amount, so that when you're asking for a limit increase of 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000, you can justify that limit. It's very important. So the timing, number one, the timing of the request, it's very important. This is the first hack you need to get into your mind. So you want to request the increase at the right time. Don't wait for it. Don't do those things that 3 months after getting your last increase. Wait for at least 6 months. And you got to have a plan. You need to justify the request. The second hack is you want to have a FICO that is above 600. Okay, if you have poor FICO, if you are currently in the 500s or even early 600s, this is not a bad thing. But if you want to have instant approval on your NFCU credit card when you ask for it, when you ask for the limit, you want to have a FICO that is 600 and above. It's really important. So my question to you is, what is your current FICO? What is your current FICO? You better have a clear idea of what your current FICO is, right? And there are a lot of ways you can do that. You can actually ascertain the FICO that you currently have. You can sign up for free credit score providers. They have services such as Credit Karma. They have Nerd Wallet. They have Wallet Hub. They have CreditWise. They have a large constellation of providers out there. All they want you to provide the service to you for free, but they want your data, because they make money actually by serving ads to you. I mean, nobody really cares about the ads as long as you get the free FICO or the free report. That's all you care about, right? So you can also get a free copy of your FICO reports and scores once a year. There is a website called annualcreditreport.com, and this is something that Congress has mandated a long time ago. So you basically have to go to their website, and you have access to your Experian, to your TransUnion, and to your Equifax credit reports for free, and that's once a year. But the cool thing is that if you're trying to get instant approval on your Navy Fed credit card, you want to make sure that if you have any issue, any adverse, any detrimental elements on your credit report, you want to fix it. those are called derogatory items. You want to fix it, and you can do it two ways. You can contact the credit bureaus. You can contact Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax and ask them to remove whatever data is inaccurate on your report, or you can contact the data furnisher himself or herself. You can contact the data furnishers themselves. What are the data furnishers? Those are the credit card companies. Those are the lenders. Those could be the landlords that you. Anybody who is contributing data to your credit report is considered a data furnisher. So you want to have a conversation with that person, with that entity, so that they can remove what you believe is inaccurate. Please don't forget to back up the request. Okay, if you're saying something is wrong, you better have proof that the data indeed is wrong. Remember that Navy Fed in general does not have soft pulls if you're not a current credit union member. So you better have a clean FICO report if you're trying to apply for this card, for any card for that matter, without being a member. Now, one thing for sure, you need to be a member to apply for a credit card. However, if you are just interested in Navy Fed credit cards in general, by listening to this show, you have a clear idea of what you need to do. The third thing you need to do is to pay attention to your finances, folks. So when we talk about your finances, if you are trying to have a credit card from NFCU instant approval, the third hack is to pay attention to your financial situation. In other words, there's something called DTI that is so important. What is your DTI? Your debt to income ratio. In other words, you are basically thinking about how much you are allocating from your income, your gross income, your pre-tax income, how much you are taking from that amount and allocating to debt servicing. Okay, and so it is basically, you get the debt to income ratio by dividing your monthly debt obligations by your pre-tax or gross monthly income. So DTI generally leaves out monthly expenses such as food, utilities, transportation costs, and health insurance, among others. Okay, so and I'm not going to go into details here, but there are several types of DTI ratios. You have front end ratio, back end ratio, and one thing you need to be very clear about is that a good target for DTI is around 30%. If you are between 30 and 35%, you're still okay. If you want Navy Fed to actually approve you instantly, you want to be below 30%. This will be very, very good for you, because the whole thing is, if your DTI is high, the higher your DTI ratio, the more likely you are to struggle with qualifying for a credit card from a Navy Fed or other credit card issuers for that matter. Even loans also, okay? So this is important to understand, that you want to wait for let's say if you have a DTI that is exceptionally high, like right now you just are in financial straits, you are struggling, it probably makes sense to wait a little bit, okay, to apply for a credit card either on a soft pull or a hard pull from Navy Fed, because they will look at your application as too risky. So please try to reduce the ratio before applying, okay? And the lower your debt to income ratio, the safer you are to lenders and credit card issuers for that matter, okay? Including Navy Fed. And one thing you also want to pay attention to in terms of a DTI is to constantly monitor it. So this month your DTI could be at 35%, next month it could be at 30% or 33%. You want to monitor it. And as soon as you go below 30%, that's a sweet spot. That's a sweet spot right there. As soon as you go below 30%, this is a great opportunity to ask for a credit card from Navy Fed. Money, 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 right? And this is where you are going to get more. You're going to get a higher limit. You're going to get the card that you want, either you want the Go or whatever card that you want from Navy Fed, with a higher limit, and have more money, money, money on the credit card. You also want to pay attention to your CUR. So when we talk about your finances, we are speaking about your DTI, but also your CUR. This is another important element that people don't pay attention to, but it is critical, okay? CUR means your credit utilization ratio. This is how much you owe on all your revolving accounts, such as credit cards, compared with your total available credit expressed as a percentage. So it's important because this is one of the biggest factors in your credit score. So your payment history accounts for 35%. Think about that, 35%. But your CUR accounts for 30%. So that's like the second most important criterion in your credit score. Talk to me about that. So what is your CUR right now? Let me have a clear idea of your CUR. Okay, and the thing here is that you need to understand that your CUR is also a very dynamic number. It's a metric that changes month from month to month, and this is something you can work on. Okay, and you can actually calculate your own credit utilization ratio, and you can do so on a per card basis or overall. So when we talk about CUR, we are talking about per card CUR or overall CUR. So per card utilization measures how much of each card's credit limit you are using, while overall utilization takes all your cards and their limits into account. Okay, so at the end of the day, both are important. I'm not getting to the whole conversation about which one is important, per card or overall CUR is important. Both are important because at the end of the day, Navy Fed is going to look at your application as a whole. They're going to, whether they do a soft pull or hard pull, they're going to look at your credit report and score as a whole. And when we talk about CUR, obviously we are speaking about your overall CUR, not your per card CUR. Okay, but the important thing is to lower your credit utilization as a whole. This is important, and the good thing here is that you can actually manage your finances. You can actually reduce your utilization by spending less, by having a budget in place, okay, by paying down debts, because that's going to be very important. That's going to lower, because this is a fraction, right? Your CUR is a fraction. So if you want to lower it, either you increase the amount of debt that you have, the amount of limit that you have, or you reduce. So you increase the denominator, or you reduce the numerator. So increasing the denominator means that you actually have a higher limit. So you apply for more. So either you ask for an increase in credit limits, or you apply for new cards, or you just reduce the amount of open balances that you currently have. The fourth hack, if you're trying to be approved instantly from Navy Fed on the credit cards, you want to pay attention to your exposure. So when we talk about exposure, we are speaking about several things. First of all, what is the current number of Navy Fed credit cards that you have? Do you have 1, 2, 3? Because they are going to pay attention to that. How many credit cards do you currently have from us? This is because the more credit cards they give you, this is the higher their exposure vis-a-vis you, right? It's all about that. You have to think about that. What is the number of Navy Fed debts that you currently carry? Talk to me about it. Do you have loans? Do you have mortgages? Do you have car loans from Navy Fed? Again, when we speak about those, we are speaking about at the personal level, but also at the business level. Because Navy Fed is looking at they are having a holistic analysis of their exposure to you, okay? And what is the tenor of the debt that you have? In case you have debt with them, what is the maturity of that debt? 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now. The longer the tenor, the riskier Navy Fed might think about you as a whole, and this will influence their ability to increase you for credit, to increase your limits, or to approve you for a new card. Okay, so be very clear about. So the bottom line here is what you want to have: low exposure right now. If you want to have instant approval from Navy Fed, you really need to have low exposure. You need to have a low amount of debt, a low amount of credit cards limits with them. What is the overall balance sheet health? What is the health? In other words, they are looking at your deposits versus your debts. Okay, so they can quickly do a balance sheet analysis by looking at your assets, whatever you own, versus your debts, or whatever you owe. And this is only what you have with them. What is the strength of your MPR with Navy Fed? This is important. What is the strength of your multi-product relationship with them? Do you have one? Because at the end of the day, NFCU's goal is to limit their exposure to a single borrower. It's important. So when they consider a single borrower, their goal is to limit their exposure as much as possible. Okay. So, and this will be very important. So money. If you want to have more, if you want to have a higher limit on your Navy Fed credit card, please pay attention to your current exposure to them, because this is going to impact their ability to approve or reject your application. Very important. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sorty Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation. Today, I'm giving you 5 hacks. 5 hacks you need to know to get you a large limit no matter what. Okay? And you want to be realistic. And that's hack number 5. You need to be realistic. When we talk about Navy Fed credit cards instant approval, please wait for 6 months since your last increase. Be patient. It's all about timing. I spoke about that later on. I spoke about that earlier on. It's all about it's all about having the right timing, but also have the right justification. Okay, so you want to wait for 6 months since your last increase. You preferably, ideally, you want to ask at a branch or over the phone. Okay, don't do things online. Anyway, NFCU does not have a soft pull process, so you're going to have to do this over the phone or online. Okay, you might have a pre-offer. If you're already a member, though, you can have a link. They do this occasionally. Okay, and please ask 10 to 30% of your current limits. Let me give you an example. Let's say you currently have a credit card with the Navy Fed where you are basically, the limit on that card is $10,000. If you're asking for a credit limit increase, ask for something between $1,000 to $3,000. In other words, you want your increase to be bumped to, you want your limit to be bumped to $13,000, for example, right? It's a lot easier to approve than if you were to ask, say, $17,000 as a newer limit. Okay, and you want to justify why you need an increase. It's always important to motivate, to actually explain why you need the cash. Okay, and be ready to provide positive proof if possible. So when we talk about being realistic, we're also talking about having the ability to substantiate your request. For example, do you have more money coming from your pay? Do you have a higher pay? Do you have a better job? Have you just started a new job? If yes, you can show Navy Fed the employment offer, the employment letter. Okay, you can show W-2s and 1099s, all that kind of stuff, or you can even show your tax returns. Whatever you can show the credit union that to explain to them that you are doing better. You are doing better in terms of finances. You are doing better in terms of your financial health in general. Please provide that documentation. It will be very helpful. Let me close the conversation by giving you some pro tips. There are some reasons why you may have been denied. So if you apply and you are denied, because the whole thing here is to give you the tools and the strategies you need and the hacks you need to be approved instantly, right? But not everything works all the time. Not everything is perfect. No process is perfect. This might work for you or might not work for you. So if you get denied, it's better to understand why you are denied in the first place, so that you can work on fixing whatever issues, whatever quote unquote issues there are in your application, so that next time you apply, you get approved. So you might be denied if you are late on one of NFCU's credit card within the past 12 months, right? Because late payments indicate that you may have trouble managing your current credit obligations. Okay, since Navy Fed may check your credit report either on a soft pull or a hard pull basis to approve your credit limit increase, late payment to any other credit card can lead to your credit limit increase being denied. If you have a high balance on cards relative to the credit limits, we talk about the credit utilization ratio, right? If you open too many accounts within the past 1 or 2 years, if you have too much available credit on too many credit cards, if you have too many recent applications for credit, right? And the thing is, if your account is too new, that's what I was just telling you earlier, that you may have to wait for 6 months. If your account is too new, Navy Fed does not have enough data to analyze your request and know exactly what kind of credit card issue, what kind of credit card user you are, right? If you don't have enough income for a credit limit increase or a new card, if you already have had a limit increase in the last 6 months, okay, if you have a record of low monthly payments, or if your credit score is too low, I was just telling you earlier that you need to work on your FICO. You got to work on your FICO, okay? Do you have you had recently major delinquencies on your credit report. Those are detrimental items. Those are derogatory items that are not really good for you. So at the end of the day, there are things you can do. So if your credit limit increase request is denied, let's say you are asking for a credit limit increase or you're asking for instant approval and that is denied, Navy Fed will always send you a letter. They will send you a letter explaining to you why your application for a new card or a limit increase or an upgrade is denied. And the letter will name the primary factors that contributed to the decision and include your free credit score or instructions to order your free credit report. Okay, so those are things you need to really think about. All right, folks, this is it for today's conversation. I was actually talking to you about Navy Fed credit card instant approval, the top 5 hacks that get you a large limit no matter what. So timing is really critical. Number 2, your FICO. Number 3, your financial situation, your DTI and CUR. Number 4, your current exposure to Navy Fed. And number 5, you need to be really realistic. You need to be realistic here. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.